Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and anyone else that might be watching. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. As we have been doing for quite some time, we're going to start off this program with the salute to the United States military and to the country of the United States of America. I apologize, we don't have enough time to put everybody's national anthem up here on the program, but we're going to do our best in the future. I've been thinking about this for some time. But folks, please rise now for the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States national anthem. Sorry, folks, I think
you don't have to
something
pay
has
a
happened
penny
here.
for a useless doorbell camera subscription. Starting now,
Here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
Let them know it. America's finest, the United States military. Here we have four beautiful young men singing our nation's national anthem from the United States Army Barbershop Quartet. The people, hosts of the Barbershop Quartet Convention, gave us the national anthem pledge. I shouldn't say the national anthem. Gave us a pledge of allegiance, and we appreciate that very much. We appreciate all of our armed forces around the world, whoever they might be, whether it be here in the United States or around the world. We also want to express our appreciation for the allies that we have and their military forces, personnel, both men and women, around the globe. God bless you all. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. God bless you all. And thank you all for your support. Thank you all for your service. Thank you for helping us keep peace in the world, or relatively peace in the world. And may you all be blessed that you can return home to your families in safety. God bless you all. And thank you all for your service. Folks, we have a lot to talk about tonight. And since it was already mentioned here, Hawaii. We can't forget Hawaii. I'm going to show you a video now that Eric West put up. I have not contacted him to ask permission to show it, but we need to say prayers for West Maui and Lahaina. I'm going to let Eric explain this to you.
Hey, aloha guys, Eric West here, HawaiiRealEstate.org. That's the name of my website. I'm a real estate agent. Not going to change. Welcome to the channel. I have been somewhat of a citizen reporter the last month, showing you what's going on here on Maui, one of the few media outlets. Apparently you can't have any media in Lahaina anymore, which is weird. I'm just kind of caught up in this moment right now. I'm getting ready to take you guys down the line of crosses. We did reach our goal with the Lahaina Fire Fund of $808,000. Much aloha to all of you that gave, and we're in the process of giving all that money to churches and a few other 501c3s. It'll all be documented. All the money will be in the hands of churches very soon. It's just a better path to spread the attention that I'm creating on this channel to as many local community organizations as possible. I'm not in the business of collecting donations. I mean, I did, and all that money is going to go to the fire survivors as promised. That I need you all to please bring awareness to this website so that you can share it with others and we can continue the flow of money. I do believe that these are the organizations that will put those funds to the best use versus the big giant organizations. So I will put a link in the description for that after this video. But I wanted to show you, there's a little sign when you come in. It says, "We honor our family and friends lost on August 8th, 2023. Feel free to select a cross, add their name, respect their family, flowers welcome, tie down containers so they don't fall into the highway, do not drive your vehicle, stay outside of the fence." So this is the makeshift signage that we have up. I just thought it would be good to show you this place so you can experience it. Give you an idea where I'm at. This is the bypass. This is the turnoff to Lahaina Luna. Obviously, Makai, Oceanside, Lahaina Town. And then I'm right below, the fire started right below that substation right there. That's the solar field next to Lahaina Luna High School. I can take you up to where the fire started. So 70-80 miles an hour wind blowing directly towards me, and we looked at the aerials. It started right below that substation. That's the highest point, is right there. And of course we've got the L, that's for Lahaina Luna, the high school, Go Lunas. So just to kind of orientate you, where we're at, what we're doing, and where this is at, and we're just gonna respectfully just look at this memorial. And obviously we pray it doesn't grow anymore. This is Donna Gomez. God rest your soul, rest in peace. In loving memory of Alfredo Galinato. Aloha, Alfredo. Shakabra. To the unknown person, forever in our hearts. I've had just chicken skin the whole time, man. Like, seriously. Can you see it? Uncle Joe, go Finns, Joseph, Scollin maybe? Anita Molina. Teresa Cook. God rest your soul. Joseph Lamsi Lara. May you rest in peace, sir. Rogelio Nabalat. Narisco and Vanessa Bailosis. May God rest your souls. Pu'u Makai. Lozano. Torres Lozano. Hard to get to that one. God rest your soul. Freeman Tom Long Sr. May you rest in peace, sir. Honey Girl Benjamin. Ed Sato. In loving memory, may God rest your souls in Jesus' name. I just feel like everything needs to be memorialized. So I guess this is one place where you are allowed to stop and look over Lahaina town and pay your respects. Still no drones, still no access, no media. Why can't we go talk to the people that survived the fire and interview them and talk to them? Where's the transparency? It's all you see on the roads, man, just plenty. Plenty of these buggers right here. Plenty. Everywhere. Everywhere. Why? The fire's out, right? Why do we need all these law enforcement people everywhere? Doesn't make any sense. The cars can't be melted and the trees are still standing. Palm trees are one of the most flammable. The metal burns and the trees don't. Natural disaster, forest fire, brush fire. Look at the trees, guys. All the pieces are coming together. It's the only way we're gonna get justice, is if you guys wake up. Another quick update for you on the Red Cross. The Red Cross is paying for funerals. It's only $2,000 for a cremation, and it does not include memorial services. So I want to be your ears and eyes on the ground. Destruction everywhere, showing you snippets of things going on here. We reached our goal of 808, and all the money is being dispersed this week. We'll provide 100% clarity on every penny going to the churches, and they're going to give it to the people. And my son Colton won't get a tax bill for $300,000 or whatever it would be. Could you imagine? You raise a bunch of money, and you have to give a third of it to the government. If you do whatever is within your power to do. I'm an example of just one guy that I just thought, what can I do? And then I looked around me, and I had some opportunity, and I thought, well, I got a YouTube channel. Dave Crawford's got this Starlink, and there's no media, and I'm like, man, I'll just shoot some videos. That's it. That's all it was. This is what's going on here. I had what was at my disposal. There's no mistakes. There's no accidents. There's divine synchronicity. The Lord is in the battle. He's here, man. He will guide and grace and protect and help. So just do your part. Whatever it is, big, small, do it. Again, I'm just one guy with an iPhone and a gimbal and a growing YouTube channel. So on that note, please like, share, and subscribe. So if you share this with 5 people, 5. So if you all share it with 5 people, 5, the message needs to get out. So thank you guys. Much aloha. Until next time, Eric West, and please pray.
Okay? I'm going to echo that. I'm going to echo that. As Eric West said, please pray. That's what we're going to ask everybody to do, is please pray. Now, I'm also going to ask you something else, and I started on it last night, and I'm going to say it again. You need to contact your legislators from the United States of America in Washington, D.C., from every state and territory in the United States. You all need to contact your state U.S. representatives. And you guys need to rain fire, hellfire, and brimstone all over the government of Hawaii, the government of Maui, and the police chief. We have uncovered wrongdoing by Governor Josh Green, by Maui Mayor Bisson, and by Mr. John Pelletier, Chief of Police of Maui. We've uncovered all kinds of wrongdoing, law breaking, violating people's rights, and violation of the United States Constitution. We've uncovered all kinds of wrongdoing. What I need you all to do is write and call your congressmen and senators and ask them for a congressional or senatorial investigation on Maui and what happened. And tell them you will not stop, and they should not stop with just an investigation. They need to call for prosecution of the individuals that have been involved. If anyone thinks that what happened in Maui was an accident or was a natural disaster, don't buy it. Don't let that story gain any more foothold than it already has. I'm going to tell you right now, the fire in Maui and Lahaina was not an accident. It was not a natural disaster. It was set. It was set by powers that be, not by China. That is a false flag. The Maui Lahaina fires had nothing to do with China. If someone tries telling you that, tell them you have sources, including me, that can prove otherwise. I'm telling you guys, I know exactly what happened now. And we're doing our best to get the word out. Menacing Muskrat, one of our newest mods here on this channel, said it was a DEW. She asked, is that correct? Yes, it is. It was a DEW weapon, a direct energy weapon. A direct energy weapon. Whether it was from space, whether it was a flying plane over the area from a high altitude, or whether they also had helicopters in the air that helped set that fire. But overall, it was a DEW weapon. I can promise you that. I'm also asking anyone that has access to any kind of legal attorney that will take on these people in power in Hawaii, i.e. again, Governor Josh Green, Mayor Bisson of Maui, and the police chief John Pelletier. They are as guilty as sin here. I'm telling you folks, they are as guilty as sin. I promise you that. I promise you that in the name of Jesus Christ. That's how certain I am of this. Okay? I'm deadly serious about this. I couldn't be more serious. Honestly, I could not be more serious than I am now. I'm totally disgusted with the United States government. And they are allowing this thing to happen. Because they are. If this thing was even in the planning stages, and their people within our government had a chance to stop it, they could have. But they did not do it. They did not do it. Menacing Muskrat is asking, is the rods of God DEW weapons also? I do not think so. I don't think that's the case. What has happened had nothing to do with God necessarily. Evil people did this. Evil people did this. Kimberly Hopkins is saying, my brother is a personal injury attorney. Used to be a legal secretary. His legal secretary. I'll talk to him and get his opinions and suggestions. If he has any ideas or suggestion for anyone that could possibly be used as an attorney against these people to set up another lawsuit against these people, that's exactly what they need. Because these individual citizens that lost everything, they lost everything from family to personal possessions, and some of them even gave their lives as a result of these dirtbags in power. And that's exactly what they are dirtbags in power. This was a power grab. This was a land grab by people in power. They knew what they were doing. Like I said, even one day before the fire happened, Governor Green, in his infinite wisdom, signed a law into being that if a natural disaster came upon that area and destroyed the area via a natural disaster, how many times have I said that now? Twice? Do I need to say it a third time? A natural disaster happened, then the governor would have the power to decide how to best allot that land to developers and do whatever they wanted to do to develop the land that they wanted to develop their way. Yes, that's a mouthful, but that's exactly what Governor Green did. Then, after the fire started, Governor Green, in his infinite wisdom, again issued an executive order declaring it a state of emergency, and in doing so, he would not allow anyone into the area. And anyone that was seen in that area would receive a state citation. Not a federal magistrate citation, but a state citation to appear before a state court judge and answer the question of why they were in the area. Governor Green and Mayor Bisson put up 10-foot tall canvas / steel fences for miles on end through that entire area to keep everybody out and keep photographers and videographers out of the area so they would not be able to see what is going on. They are still, in fact, keeping people out of the area while allowing others to go in and supposedly remove hazardous waste. And these people that are removing hazardous waste do not, I repeat, do not even have any hazardous waste material handling clothes, suits, whatever you want to call them, protective equipment on their person. Yet these same people are picking up ash from burned bodies. They're sifting through the ruins to see what else they can pick up. They are picking up soil 6 inches deep from throughout the area and putting it in 50-gallon barrels and hauling it off to some unknown location in the mainland. In the mainland, not in Hawaii, but the mainland. This is a violation of cultural law. Cultural law in that area. They're violating the Hawaiian culture. Lahaina, the city Lahaina that was destroyed, used to be the head of the government in Hawaii before it became a state. The area is a sacred area, and it was a sacred area even before the fire. Now, people are still buried in that area, i.e. their ashes are spread throughout that area. I still believe there are bones of people, skeletons scattered throughout that area. I am very upset by this. Those of you that saw my earlier presentation yesterday afternoon, you know how angry I was, and that anger has not ended. I have righteous indignation for what has happened. I have righteous indignation for what has happened. Scooter Pie, thank you for being here with us. We love you and appreciate you so very much. If you're going to donate anything for Hawaii, do it through the locals like Eric West, not through the government. Stay away from the U.S. government, stay away from the Hawaii government. They will take your money and run. They have no business even being involved. They know what they did. They know what they did was wrong. They know what they did was a violation of law and a violation of people's rights, but they did it anyway. And they actually thought they could get away with it. Hacksaw says there's nothing sacred these people about the money, the squandering of money, and the squandering of lives that they have done. Yes, the squandering of lives. Murder, guys. We're talking about multiple counts of murder. And I'm still going to ask the question, and I'm not going to stop asking this question as long as we haven't got answers. Where are the children? Where are the children? Where are the children? Some 2,400, 2,400 children are still missing. 3,000 people had been enrolled in the Maui school district. 600 children are still there, either in schools or long-distance learning. Where are the other 2,500 children? We want to know. We want to know, and we want to know now. Mr. Bisson and Mr. Gangrene, I want to talk to you. If you see this video, I want to talk to you. And you need and should talk to me. And before you do it, you need to consult your attorneys, because anything you say or do can be held against you in a court of law. Anything you say or do will be held against you in a court of law. And I don't believe that any judge alive will give you a court-appointed attorney at this point in time. You don't deserve it. Number one, you make too much money. Number two, your crimes are so outlandish, you don't deserve a court-appointed attorney. You deserve to go to prison for the rest of your natural lives, and that's too good of a sentence. I'm not going to stop talking about these children. I'm not going to stop talking about these families who perished in these fires. Mayor Bisson, you're up to your ears and eyeballs in guilt. John Pelletier, you need to resign your job immediately. And if I was in Hawaii, I would personally come after you to the fullest extent of the law. No, I wouldn't hurt you. I wouldn't hurt you physically. But I'm telling you, I would not rest until you're in jail. Mr. Pelletier, you don't deserve to be police chief. You deserve to be locked up. You knew what they were going to do when you came into power. You were also co-conspirator in this crime. John Pelletier, you need to resign immediately, because we are coming after you. We're coming after Pelletier, we're coming after Mr. Green, and coming after Mr. Bison. Medicine Muskrat said they found the school buses. I don't have any clue about any of that. I have not had anyone show me any information that they found the school buses. They found one school bus, maybe a school bus. They can't even make it out whether it was a school bus or some other vehicle. It was a full grainy picture. So grainy that they couldn't make out what it was. It looked like it might be a school bus near or on a military base there in Maui. We don't even know for sure whether that picture even came from there. But I'm telling you guys, there's all kinds of guilt here. All kinds of laws that are broken. I'm going to ask again, where are the children? Where are the parents of the missing children? Yes, there are parents that perished. I understand that. But if their parents are still alive, are you parents speaking for your children? We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. Like I said, I am not going to rest, not one day, until we have answers to these questions and those 3 gentlemen are in jail. In the least, they need to resign. They need to resign, and when they resign, that's even a mark of guilt on their part, because they know darn well what they did. They know darn well what they did. And yes, Scooter Pie is right. She says now they're putting up a big huge fence around the area so nobody can see in and they can't go past the fence. Yeah, they're covering up their crime. They're in the process of wiping that area clean, gathering 6 inches of soil from around that entire area, and in doing so, destroying the crime scene. That's the other law that they broke. They're destroying the crime scene. When you have a crime scene, guys, I'm a cop. I'm a retired cop. I'm an investigator still. When a man retires, a man or woman retires from law enforcement or leaves law enforcement, part of their lives will never end. They will always have that idea in the back of their mind that they are still investigators, and in some way or shape or form, their life will show that. One of the prime things that you need to know is that if there is a crime scene, the crime scene should be left alone. You are guilty of destroying the crime scene if you move one thing from the crime scene. One piece of dirt, one rock, one bone, one item. No matter what it is, if it's removed from the crime scene, you've disturbed the crime scene and you are in violation of the law. And it doesn't matter whether it's Hawaii, New Jersey, Florida, Montana, Wyoming, North Carolina, it doesn't matter. It's a violation of law, and they are violating the law. James Baraka just gave us another $5 super chat. Thank you so much, James. I really, really do appreciate that. James says, hope this helps his channel. Oh, it is. It's keeping this channel afloat right now. I just got another bill from the city here, and costs keep going up to keep this channel on the air, unfortunately. But we appreciate each and every one of you that are helping to do that, because we have to keep this ongoing. And it's not just this matter of Hawaii. It's everything in front of us. Literally everything that's going on in front of us. We need to stay out in front of it. Our lives, our families' lives, our children and grandchildren's lives depend on it. They depend on it. Scooter Pie Awaken says it started with California fires. You're right. We could go all the way back to Paradise. We could go back to Oregon as well, and Washington. Guess what? Those were not natural disasters either. Yes, there were people that said that some of it was lightning caused. Some of it, but not all of it. These are land grabs. These are power grabs from the elite people in our society. Okay? I hope people are listening to me right now. I hope everyone is listening, because this is the absolute truth. Everything that I have done in my life has led up to where we are today. And I'm not going to let it go. I can't. Vicky K just gave us another $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Vicky. We appreciate that. God bless you. She says, thank you, Ron, for all you do. I thank you for that. God bless you all for keeping this channel up and going. I once thought that one individual could do what we do and keep the program going by him or herself. And that's impossible, knowing what's going on. It takes time and it takes money. And my time I give to you. But the expenses don't stop. Menacing Muskrat says the Canadian fires are part of this. You're right. The Canadian wildfires are all part of this. Yes, they wanted to turn them into 15-minute electric cities. Yeah. They also wanted the air full of chemicals. Part of that burn, not just in Canada but everywhere, part of these fire burns are to make sure that people are exposed to chemicals, not just smoke, but chemicals that could harm people's lives. And yes, this smoke covered 2 different nations. The entire North American continent was filled with smoke and out into the water, helping pollute our water. The Pacific Ocean, the rivers, the streams, and the Atlantic Ocean, and further out all over the world. The smoke just didn't stay on the North American continent. It's all over the world now. Okay? My dear friend Laura Marie, that I've known for most of my life, hello from Oregon, Ron, mods and friends. I'm listening, I'm with you on this topic. Thank you very much, Laura Marie. Dear, dear friend. Folks, I don't know how much more serious I can get about this. I am dead serious. Heidi Petra just gave us another $1.49 super chat. Thank you so much, Heidi. God bless you. Even the smallest donations help. It means so much. I don't know. It's hard to talk about. Like Eric West. He's physically spoken to people face to face. I have spoken to only a handful of people on Maui and Lahaina via telephone. And I have had other conversations either over text or email. And all I can do is ask for the Lord to bless those people. They have suffered beyond suffering. They are people who I believe the Lord has touched their lives. And I'm talking about the survivors here. The Lord has touched their lives in such a way to try to heal what they've been through and to pick them up and let them know the Lord is there for them. I've heard their testimonies. I have felt their prayers and our prayers for them. But I'm not going to rest until we find those people. When we find those children. I'm just not going to rest. I can't. Laura Marie just gave us a $50 super chat. God bless you, Laura Marie. You guys are what keep this channel going, really. You're awesome. You're awesome. Laura Marie, tell John I said hi. Laura and John are dear friends. And their family. Their dear family. Anyway, guys, there's some things other than this I want to talk about. We may still come back to this. But I won't let it go. I just can't. I honestly can't. The next thing I want to talk about is Tropical Storm 16. possibly even, well, they have it as Tropical Cyclone 16, potential Tropical Cyclone 16. They even have a name for it if it turns into a tropical storm. Trish Killian says, we believe in you, and she just gave us another $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Trish. God bless you. It's good to see you here. Trish says, we believe in you. That's the other issue is a reason I can't let this go. All of you believe in me, and I'm not going to let you down. Not now and not ever. Anyway, let's go look at this video from the Weather Channel, and then we can talk about Tropical Cyclone 16. This is important because the entire East Coast is going to feel the storm today through the weekend.
Okay, so this storm that is spinning off the southeast coast pretty soon is going to be Tropical Storm Ophelia, or possibly Subtropical Storm Ophelia. I don't really care what the name of it's going to be. In fact, let's not even focus on that too much. I just want to focus on what the impacts are going to be, because we have a really good idea of what's going to happen. So if you live in some of these spots from the North Carolina coast up through parts of the Delmarva, just pay close attention here, because there are going to be some significant impacts. Right now, the max sustained wind is at about 35 miles an hour. It's moving north at 9 miles an hour, but we do have tropical storm warnings that are in effect from parts of the Delmarva all the way down through the North Carolina coast. That means that we are expecting tropical storm conditions to develop. We'll have some, wind gusts likely over 50 miles an hour at times, in addition to some storm surge flooding, which I think is going to be at its worst on Saturday, about 2 to 4 feet from Cape Hatteras up toward parts of the Virginia coast as well, including Virginia Beach. As far as the time of arrival of the tropical storm force winds, I'd say Friday evening along the North Carolina coast, Saturday morning as you get farther up toward the north. And the thing with this storm is that it's going to keep strengthening as it approaches the coast, but then once it moves inland, that's when it loses its strength. But you pay attention to the wind direction here. It's coming onshore on the north side of where the center is, and that's why we're going to have the storm surge flooding, especially during the high tides on Saturday. Keep that in mind, as I mentioned. Also, there's going to be some very heavy rain, possibly enough to cause some flooding, especially in some of the coastal areas there I was talking about.
Okay. We're not going to go any further than that right now.
With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, it's checked by experts.
I'm sorry about that, guys. I stopped it. Yay me. Anyway, it's not just here on the East Coast. This tropical storm is going to do a lot of damage. There's also bad weather over in the Pacific Northwest. Wind, rain, and even some storm surge in the Pacific Northwest. That place is going to get nailed as well this weekend. All of our friends and our family there, up and down the coast there, in Canada, Washington, and Oregon, are going to get nailed this weekend. A huge low pressure system. I don't know how dangerous it's going to get as yet. We're still monitoring that. But it's an extreme low pressure system. And it's coming off the the Pacific coast of Alaska, coming right in to slam into Vancouver, Canada, British Columbia there, all the way into Washington and Oregon. It may even work its way into Northern California before it's all said and done. But it's going to be a huge storm, a monster storm. A lot of things happening, guys. A lot of things happening. Now, this is a current radar image of this pre-tropical cyclone. Okay? Right now it's a pre-cyclone. You can see where it's at. Some of the storm clouds are even down into Florida, Georgia. They're working its way up into South and North Carolina right now. Like the forecaster you saw from the Weather Channel a few minutes ago, some of the worst possible storm is going to hit North and South Carolina tomorrow going into Saturday, and then upwards into Virginia, working its way north. It could turn into a regular tropical storm. If it is, or if it does, its name will be Ophelia. Ophelia. But you can see the storm right here affecting Florida and into Georgia. Look at the storm clouds in Georgia. Some of those storm clouds, i.e. thunderstorms, could also possibly unleash tornadoes. Could possibly unleash tornadoes. Severe thunderstorms, guys. Severe thunderstorms. You can see them off the coast as well. Now, this is what this storm system looks like in the spaghetti models. Okay? This is a cone of uncertainty with this tropical cyclone 16. You can see what's going to happen. It's literally going to slam into North Carolina, but it's also affecting South Carolina and Georgia right now. But the full effect of the storm is expected to hit North Carolina into Friday night, into Saturday, and upwards into the New York area, Boston, Massachusetts, going on up into Delaware and Maine. Okay? I don't think it's going to just hang down in the southern part of the United States at all. It's moving northward at 35 miles per hour. They say it's moving north at 8 miles per hour, but currently information is the winds are at 35 miles per hour plus. Okay? 35 mile per hour winds. Sunday up here, upwards into Washington, D.C., Sunday afternoon, winds of 35 to 36 miles per hour. There's also going to be some other things happening here. Let me find this right here. Okay? This is a storm surge. The wind-driven rain and the wind-driven ocean conditions forcing storm surge and flooding along the coast. Look at that. 3 to 5 feet. 3 to 5 feet along the southeastern shores of North Carolina and the eastern shores of North Carolina, going on up into Virginia and up into the Cape Cod and Boston area and New York. You can see it here. This is a very, very good picture of what it's going to be like. Okay? 3 to 5 feet over here in North Carolina tomorrow. 1 to 3 feet up here at Virginia Beach. Okay? The peak storm surge happens at high tide. Now, I don't know right now what high tide conditions are going to exist, other than at least the doubling, and I'm saying doubling, of the high tide conditions. The storm surge is going to raise it double what the normal high tide conditions are. If the high tide conditions are 1 to 1.5 feet above normal, when you have storm surge conditions, you can double that. You can almost double that. This is going to be a storm. No, it's not a hurricane. But this is very dangerous, guys. When we have storm conditions like this, people could drown. Cars can float in the water. It doesn't take much more than 12 inches of rain or water on the roadways and you're going to float a car. 6 inches of rain can disable a person trying to walk in it. If it's moving water, you might fall down and you might get washed downstream or out into the ocean. I'm asking everybody to stay away from the ocean side. Yes, I know what thoughts were going through my head when I lived in San Diego when there were storms out. Oh, goody, goody, we're going to have some surf to go surfing. Folks, I've dealt with it. Take it from someone who has experience with these storms. And the storm conditions and the ocean conditions. Stay out of the water. Stay out of the water. Don't force first responders to risk their lives going after you because you are too crazy to think straight. Think straight and stay safe. Okay? This is going to happen tonight into tomorrow through probably Sunday. Okay? Be careful out there. Know where you're going and what you're doing. Know where you're going and what you're doing. Let's look at the rainfall forecast here. Look at this. This is through Sunday. Rainfall forecast. Light rain is the light green colors here. Light rain is the light green colors here. The darker green is heavier and heavier rain. The yellow-orange areas are the storm surge and heavier rain conditions. They fully expect to have 1 to 2 to maybe even to 3 inches of rain in some of the heaviest hit areas. Just so you know, this storm, like I said, is stretching right now from down here around Daytona Beach, Florida, all the way up into Boston. All the way up north here into Boston. Okay? Stay out of the water. Don't put first responders at risk. Please. Please don't do that. I've studied this. Shoot, I started studying this map about 9 o'clock this morning. I talked to my weather forecaster here that I admire. He works at WCNC. He's a good guy. I talked to him. His forecast is the same one that the Weather Channel has. Stay out of the water unless you absolutely have to do something about it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Your lives could depend on it. Don't do it. Richard Smith says, I got a rowboat ready or not. Richard, you're awesome, brother. I appreciate you. You're awesome. I hope that this storm doesn't do this to you, Richard. You've already weathered enough with that last hurricane. Hurricane Lee. Named after a good guy named Lee. Me. My middle name. So if you got hit by Lee, that's part of me. I'm joking now. Anyway, guys, this is not the only storm that has been hitting. Okay? I can't believe how hard this is to talk about. There's been other storms that have been hitting. We've talked about flooding in Libya, in India. We've talked about dam breaks, huge extreme flooding in India. Up to 50,000 people died in India alone from that cyclone that poured in there. Other people have also been affected around the world. Today, flooding in London. The streets of London were flooded after about an inch of rain fell over a short period of time around London. That whole area got nailed, guys. The whole area got nailed. Let me show you another picture. Fire brigades were called out because of emergency calls from flooding and people that were trapped. Fire brigades are fire department personnel. They're in England. That's what they call them, are fire brigades. And they were called out to help rescue people. In this particular photo, you can see water, rainwater, pouring down even at that time. Those stripes in this picture are rainwater caught by the camera. Unreal. Unreal. The flooding in the streets was like this. Look at the water in the streets. Please, folks, I don't care whether you're in London, whether you're in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, or whether you're in Fargo, North Dakota in a flood. Don't drive. Stay out of the high water. High water can also cause the pavement, the roadway, to collapse You may end up into a sinkhole and you're going to die. Don't do it. Your truck or your car can be floated off into the rain, into the water, and you might be lost in it. Meaning lost, getting killed. Don't do it. You can see the lights of emergency personnel in the background of this picture. This is pretty bad. Those people trying to risk their lives to save someone else. It's a broad painted brush. People like myself have risked their lives. That's because of our love for people. We did it, and we're proud to do it. But please, help save everybody's lives. Everybody's lives are valuable. I can't stress that enough. Now, there's something else that I want to talk to you tonight about. Something else that I feel like we need to say. I have done some deep soul searching about this. As I have been telling you for a while now, and other people have been talking about it too. You probably heard it on the media, on YouTube, and various other places. The United States is being invaded by people from other countries. We're being invaded by people from other countries. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it's wrong. Everything about it is wrong. It's hard to even realize. It's hard to even think that some people would do what they do to risk their lives coming to the United States. But on the same token, it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than that. What I believe is happening is so wrong. Right here you can see some boats. These boats are like long canoes, probably 50-foot long canoes. There's about 30 people in each one of these boats. This is just one boat, and a settlement of people waiting to get on other boats. What I'm going to show you does not please me one bit, but I think you all need to see it. You all need to hear it. As soon as I get this video reloaded, I had it loaded before I came on the air tonight.
We counted how many piragua boats were coming down as we were going up, and we counted 116 to 118 piraguas. That is roughly 3,000 people.
3,000 people. 3,000 people. These are boats down in Panama in what they call the Darien Gap. The Darien Gap. It's mostly an impossible area to get through from Colombia into Panama, going up in through Central America and into the United States. And yet there are people all over the water here. I'm going to show you right here. People literally all over the water trying to make it into the United States.
Number 5, last 4 have been mostly Venezuelan. That's what we're seeing again, mostly coming through. But you've got Chinese, you've got Bangladesh, a lot of Bangladesh, a lot of India, Egypt. We saw one from Morocco yesterday. Crazy. All right, we're to where the river splits. Now we're going back upriver towards Bajo Chiquito. ¿Dónde son? That was number 6. Here's number 7. Number 7. Here's number 8. Number 9. ¿De dónde son? China? China and Africa. So that boat, that was number 9. China. The front half of the boat was China. The back half was Africa. In the middle of the Darien Gap. Number 10. More Venezuela. So that was boat number 10, and it's 10 a.m. right now. All day. Colombia, Venezuela, and the front was Africa. Venezuela. Africa? Venezuela and Africa. China? China? Venezuela and China. That was 14. We have 15, 16. It's going to be hard to keep track. We're already at 16 and it's 10:05 in the morning.
10 o'clock in the morning, 16 boats. 130 boats in one day. 130 boats in one day. Let me tell you about the Darien Gap. I think you guys need to know about it, because part of our country is getting invaded by people from these areas. It's not just across the U.S.-Mexican border. A lot of it is. But this is how these people are getting through the area. This is a very dangerous area. It's called the Darien Gap. I spent a great deal of this afternoon researching this area and what exactly is going on. And I think everybody needs to know about it. These pictures are coming from what they call the Darien Gap. Migrants risk death on their journey. The Darien Gap is an imposing obstacle on one of the world's most dangerous migration routes. The remote roadless crossing on the border between Colombia and Panama consists of more than 60 miles of dense rainforest, steep mountains, and vast swamps. In the first 6 months of 2023, more than 200,000 people crossed the Darien Gap, a jungle that lies between Colombia and Panama. More than 60 migrants died in the attempt. In the latest attempt to cross this Darien Gap, at least 137 migrants died or went missing, including at least 13 minors. 16,000 people in just one day this week. 16,000 people in one day this week have gone through this area en route to the United States. People pay around $400 apiece just to cross the Darien Gap, which is controlled by a local drug cartel. They bring little with them besides what they can carry on their backs. Top nationalities crossing the first 8 months of 2023 were Ecuadorians, nearly 45,000 Ecuadorians, and Haitians, slightly more than 35,000. Migrants from Venezuela, Ecuador, and Haiti have accounted for 84% of all people crossing the Darien Gap so far in 2023. Any vehicles larger than a motorcycle must be transported by boat to cross the Darien Gap. If you have a motorcycle or bicycle, you might be able to find a sailboat or a local speedboat to take you along the coast to your destination. What percent of Darien Gap people are white? The 5 largest ethnic groups in Darien are white, non-Hispanic. White, non-Hispanic, 87.7%. Asian, 5.47%. White Hispanic, 3.39%. Non-Hispanic, 1.85%. And black or African American people, 0.786%. What are some of the dangers of traveling through the Darien Gap, which is a portion of Panama that everyone needs to go through to reach the U.S.? Huge. Huge. And yet you saw here in this short part of the video that I showed you what is going on. 34 boats before 8:05 a.m. this morning. Sexual violence is one of the many difficulties people face crossing this jungle, especially women and LGBTQ plus people. Sexual violence and exploitation. In addition, a report of the Human Rights Committee in March just this year also found further risk, including murders, disappearances, sexual trafficking, robbery, intimidation by organized crime operatives. A great lot of wonderful people here, right? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's sad. It's sad. All these people trying to reach the United States, maybe some of them trying to get to a better life here in the U.S., and others invading the United States. You saw people in those boats from China, India, Africa. Incredible guys. Totally incredible. Now, I've got some other things that we need to talk about, because this is going to affect us in the coming days. I wish I could play the entire video for you right now, but I can't. I don't have the time. But this is happening. This is happening. Scooter Pye says we're in Revelations right now. We have two presidents, one fake and one CIG. I totally agree. I totally agree. But folks, we have something big that we need to talk about. Okay? We need to talk about it right now. We've talked about this fake president. We've talked about these Democrat communists. NCWQ Explorer says even these camel toes. Oh yeah. California commies, or commies from California. Folks, it goes far beyond that right now. Biden and the commie Democrats are going to shut this country down. I almost see no resolution to stop it. Joe Biden's political troubles are about to get far worse and much more public, as House Republicans have scheduled their first public hearing into the president's impeachment this next week. The House Oversight Committee will hold its first hearing on impeachment on Thursday next week, September 28th. A spokesman for the GOP-led House Oversight Committee told us that Tuesday. It's reported by the New York Post and the Daily Caller for those of you that want to even check into it. The launch of impeachment proceedings against Biden, who now is 80 years old and is senile and is suffering from dementia. The impeachment was it was announced last week by House Speaker Kevin McCarthy from California. The grounds: various suspicion of criminal wrongdoings against the First Family. Not just Biden himself, but the entire First Family. Those range from Hunter Biden's murky business dealings abroad and allegations that the president himself were involved in them and uncovered $20 million in foreign cash wire payments to the Biden family, and whistleblower testimonies from the U.S. Justice Department that the U.S. Justice Department has shielded Hunter Biden from severe charges. Merrick Garland shielding Hunter Biden from severe charges just because he's the first son. Next Thursday's hearing is going to focus more on constitutional legal questions surrounding the president's involvement in corruption and abuse of public office. The Oversight Committee also intends to subpoena Hunter and James Biden, his brother's personal and business bank records, as early as this week. The spokesman further informed us that the Oversight Committee will continue to follow the evidence and the money trail to provide the transparency and the accountability that the American people demand from the government. The new subpoenas that are going to be issued by the committee chairman, Representative James Corner, are going to seek establishment whether the cash transfers to Biden family members from Communist China, Putin's Russia, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan and Romania reached President Biden. We already know about the cash transfers. We know for a fact that they happened. But right now, the Oversight Committee wants to be sure that those cash transfers actually made it to the Biden accounts. The New York Post notes that the expected subpoenas into Hunter and James Biden records could result in a protracted court battle, a long-distance court battle for a long period of time over the U.S. Congress's right to receive the respective information. In other words, the Democrats are going to try to say that the impeachment committee has no right to those documents. We already know that it happened. They want to get those documents to establish a firm seating between Mr. Joseph Biden, Hunter Biden, and James Biden, the Biden crime family. The first Biden impeachment inquiry hearing will be held just before the possible government shutdown on October 1st, as the House of Representatives is still haggling over spending bills. White House spokesman, advisor to the president that I went nose to nose with last week, his name's Ian Sams, Mr. Sams blasted the hearing as a way of distracting from Republicans' own chaotic inability to govern. Sams is saying the Republicans are chaotic and have no ability to govern. Yes, they do. Sams is trying to do his best to protect the president, like I said about it last week. Sams is trying his best to keep the president out of hot water. The president is already in hot water. He's continuing to send billions of dollars to Ukraine. Biden continues sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. And yet the United States government only wants to give individual residents in Maui $700, when all these millions and billions of dollars have headed to Ukraine. The presidential advisor, Mr. Sams, is calling this a political stunt. A political stunt. He's saying to them, baseless personal attacks on President Biden are more important than preventing a government shutdown, and the plan would inflict on American families. The pain is going to inflict on American families. Okay? Like I said, Mr. Sams is trying to paint this picture that the Republicans going after the president for wrongdoing is going to inflict pain on us. Let me tell you something that's happened in Congress this week. In a dangerous development that puts all Americans at risk, including future generations, our children and grandchildren, the America's national debt has surpassed $33 trillion for the first time in history. The critical threshold was exceeded this past Monday, according to the latest data released by the U.S. Treasury Department. This crossing of this new milestone occurs at a time of growing scrutiny of government expenditures, with the GOP majority in the House of Representatives demanding spending cuts at the risk of a federal shutdown. Demanding federal spending cuts. Just 4 decades ago, the sum that the U.S. owed its creditors stood at only $907 billion. $907 billion. And now we've surpassed $33 trillion. Just 4 decades ago. 907 billion, and now it's 333 trillion. The United States has hit a new milestone that no one will ever be proud of. Our gross national debt just surpassed $33 trillion. $33 trillion. That's according to Maya McGinnis, who is the president of the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, a Washington, D.C. based nonpartisan nonprofit group. Debt held by the public, meanwhile, recently surpassed $26 trillion. Debt held by you and I, $26 trillion. We're becoming numb to these huge numbers, but it doesn't make them any less dangerous. With only days left before the September 30th deadline. With only days left before the September 30th deadline to pass a spending bill that can be approved by both houses of Congress, the House of Representatives and the Senate, and make its way to the President for his passing, signing, or his veto. We only have days left. 8 days as of tomorrow morning. House Republicans proposed a short-term plan, i.e. what they call a continuing resolution, a CR, to fund the government until October 31st, a continuing resolution. The GOP, the grand old party, the Republican measure provides for slashing 8% of the spending of federal agencies, except for defense, veterans, and disaster relief funding. Notice they're trying to make sure that disaster relief funding is still funded. The continuing resolution in question was sponsored by House Republican members from both the Moderate Mainstream Caucus and the Conservative Freedom Caucus. However, it was met with internal opposition, casting further doubts over the likelihood of avoiding a shutdown. A government shutdown is a very likely status. As lawmakers drift from one short-term financial fiscal crisis to the next, our national debt just keeps piling up, trillion after trillion dollars. That is according to Michael Peterson, CEO of the Peter G. Peterson Foundation, another nonpartisan group. After the debt ceiling showdown in June, we crossed $32 trillion debt milestone. Now it's $33 trillion. And as we stare down a potential government shutdown, just 3 months later, we have raced past $33 trillion in red ink. As we have seen in recent growth in inflation and interest rates that's killing each one of us, the cost of debt can mount suddenly and rapidly, with more than 10 trillion of interest cuts, with more than $10 trillion of interest costs over the next decade. $10 trillion of interest in the next 10 years. This is compounding physical cycle is only going to continue to do damage to our own children and grandkids. Our children and grandkids. And then, on top of all that, we have all this other political unrest coming from south of our border and all around the country. Because our country is being invaded. Literally invaded. I don't know what to say, guys. It's bad. I do know what to say, though. We got to stop it. When you call your senators and congressmen in Washington tomorrow and on into next week, you need to tell them several things. Number one, to investigate what's going on in Maui, in Hawaii. Because the governor, the mayor, and the police chief over in Maui need to be dealt with. Laws have been broken. Lives have been lost. And they continue to try to destroy those peoples and their livelihood. We cannot let that continue. Second, you need to tell our lawmakers to come up with a viable continuing resolution and also come to a viable non-shutdown of the United States. In other words, they need to get a financial budget passed. A continuing resolution might be good for 30 days. But they need to get a budget passed without having any more shutdowns at all. And Mr. Biden and any of his advisors, including Ian Sams, I'm squaring off with you as well. Get the budget passed and stop spending our money. Stop sending it over to Ukraine and anywhere else other than our own people. Our own people need to be considered first and foremost. No other country deserves anything from our government and its people than the people in the United States. It has to be U.S. people first. End of discussion. Mr. Sams, if you're listening to me now, you need to better listen, because we will come after you legally. You and your party, you and Mr. Biden. We will be coming legally after you, and you will be going to jail. It's a matter of time. Folks, do what you can. Do what you can, one, to protect yourself. Two, try to help those people in Maui. Do your best to try to help those people. Try to find them good attorneys to go against the government. To go up against Mr. Josh Gangrene, Mr. Bisson, and Mr. John Pelletier. We need to force the resignations. We need to get people in there to at least take their place for right now. But we need to hold them legally responsible for what happened. An investigation has to start somewhere. It needs to start somewhere right now. Right now. Let's find the people in Maui some good attorneys, and let's go after these people. Let us bring justice to Maui. Let's bring justice to Maui. They deserve it. Rob52 says we're living in scary days in this upside down world. We certainly are, Rob. You said a mouthful. You said a mouthful. We have things happening, guys. We have things happening. Rebecca's talking about a 4.7 earthquake just hit Vietnam. It's amazing it hasn't been reported before now. Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar. It's surprising it hasn't happened before now. All that energy from those earthquakes have been happening over in Papua New Guinea and Indonesia, that area. There's that huge, there not just one, but several seismic earthquake superhighways, faults, and plates all over that area. 7 different plates. 7 different plates in the southwestern Pacific. One subducting under the other. There is no way in heck that this should not have happened before now. A 4.7 moderate earthquake in Vietnam tonight. Doesn't surprise me too much. Yes, those people are suffering. Most of the people in Vietnam don't have much of anything but shacks to live in. It's come to be a little more modernized since after the Vietnam War, but not by much. When they have a 4.7 moderate earthquake, it'll shake them to pieces. A 5.0 will destroy their world. Anything larger than that will devastate that entire area for years to come. Unfortunately. Aubrey's saying in the tunnels from the war, yes, exactly. It's unreal. And I hate to say it, because I had friends of mine that served in the Vietnam War, and Agent Orange was dumped all over that area. And the chemical's still on the ground. No one has ever cleaned that up. And I'm sure people are still suffering from all that, and all the other chemicals that were dumped there as well. I want to thank everyone who's been here tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you. Friends, I'm going to ask what Eric West asked earlier about his own channel. I am asking each one of you to share this channel with 5 of your friends. Just 5 of your friends. We have over 1,700 subscribers right now, 300 short of 2,000. I want to get to at least 2,000 before the end of this year. Please, folks, share this program with at least 5 of your friends, your family members, your extended family, your friends, people you work with, and even your social media contacts. Ask them to come here to this channel. Ask them to subscribe to this channel. Ask them to monitor this channel for emergency information, because that's what we're giving to you. Everything we have talked about tonight is an emergency information packet for each of you that will become very valuable in the days to come to help protect you. There isn't anything that we haven't talked about tonight that doesn't fit the idea of an emergency thing, an emergency situation. September is Emergency Preparedness Month here in the United States, and it's getting to be that way all over the world. We all need to prepare. We all need to be preparing, and preparing in the biggest way possible. Bad things are happening now, and worse things are coming. Write an emergency preparedness plan. Write an emergency preparedness plan. Second, build yourself and your family. Each member of your family must have an emergency survival kit, an emergency preparedness kit. Earlier this week, I believe it was on Monday, we gave you a list of things to put in your emergency preparedness kit. If you don't have it, go back this week. It's just been during the past 4 days. Find that program. Go to that program and listen to me as I tell you the things that you need to have in an emergency preparedness kit. Make sure you get yourself an emergency preparedness kit. Much of your preparedness kit you can get from things you already have on hand in your home. The few other things you need will not cost you much money, but you need to do it, because these emergencies are compounding every day. They're going to become more dangerous every day, and without it, we may not survive. You need to have an emergency preparedness kit. You need to have a plan. Thirdly, you need to have water. You cannot go very long without water. 3 days without water, especially in the heat that we've seen here in the United States, Canada, and other places, you're going to die. You can't go much of any place without water. We've talked about water preparation. We've talked about how to make sure you have a water plan. I've told you how I have been able to store water here in my home and around my home. We've told you about water filters. I have this water filter right in my hands. Thanks goes to nutrition nurse Griffin from California, now living, I believe, in Arizona. I appreciate what she's done to help me with an emergency water filter. You also, I showed before this, I showed you a water filter that I have gotten from For Patriots. You can buy also those life straws that will give you 500 gallons per life straw. We talked to you about a radioactive water filter that will clean up radioactive water, but it's only going to be good for up to 25 gallons per radioactive life straw. But you need to have life straws, guys. You need to have water. You need to have a good supply of water. Okay? Rebecca's also talking about hydration packets for water like G2 in packets. You need to have that. I've got a few of those myself. But I'm not going to stop talking about preparedness. Not going to happen. Now, folks, I want to tell you how much I love you. I tell you that every night, and I mean it. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. There's a lot of things that have happened during my life. A lot of things that have happened in my life. A lot of things that are going to continue to happen to me and all of you. But what I want to do is try every day to make sure that the things we talk about can leave us with a good feeling. I want to make sure that we will have a good foundation for our thoughts, a good foundation for our families, and a good foundation for each one of us. I want to go over to Matthew, the 10th chapter tonight. Matthew chapter 10, verses 29, 30, 31, and 32. Are not two sparrows sold for a farthing? And one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father. But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear ye not, therefore ye are more valuable than the sparrows. Fear ye not, therefore ye are of more value than many of the sparrows. Whosoever therefore shall confess me unto him, whoso therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. What is that telling you? What is that telling you? If you are righteous, if you're doing what you need to be doing, if you're obeying the commandments, it says right here in that last verse, all those verses, you and I are all more valuable than a sparrow. But here, if we are doing what we're being asked to do, and the Lord knows it, He knows what we're doing. If we shall confess to Him, whosoever therefore shall confess me before men. We're testifying. We're bringing the Word of God to our fellow man, to our friends, our neighbors, and those that we love and cherish and do business with. If we will confess to men, in other words, bear our testimony of Jesus Christ unto our fellow men, Him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. It's simple. It's very simple, brothers and sisters. Again, we have made a covenant with Jesus Christ, haven't we? We've made a covenant with our Heavenly Father that we need to help take the gospel of Jesus Christ to all those who we meet. Our family, our friends, our neighbors, our loved ones. And if we do that, the Lord God Himself will confess us to our Father in heaven and bring us many blessings. That's what the Lord has promised us. That is what the Lord has promised us. How many times have I talked about covenants? We all have made covenants to Jesus Christ. We keep talking about it all the time, and I'm not going to stop talking about that either. We've all made covenants. Let's make sure we honor our covenants, especially with our fellow brother, Jesus Christ, our Savior and our Redeemer. It's my testimony to you that I know God lives. I know God lives, and He hears and answers our prayers. Our Savior Jesus Christ died for our sins. He has given us promises that we can return to Him by being faithful to our covenants with Him. That's a promise. May God be with you this day and always. I won't ever stop saying that. May God be with you this day and always. May God bless you. If anything else happens tonight, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. I leave you my testimony, my sure testimony that I know that God lives. God be with you until we meet again. I love you, brothers and sisters. I always will. We will see you on the other side. Good night, everybody.